What's up, y'all? It's Hayden, aka Brother Hellis, and you are now tuning into the Babbling Brothers. If you're working out, chilling with the boys, or just need a distraction from your everyday troubles, then you're in the right place. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Babbling Brothers. Now, today, I've got a special little surprise for you guys. So it is actually a solo show, hosting-wise at least. My two co-hosts, Chili Style and Tornado, could not be with me today, unfortunately. But on the upside, I have a very special guest with me today. It is the one, the only Staff Sargent Harris. Go ahead, introduce yourself, man.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Staff Sargent Harris here.
Cool, yeah. So Sergeant Harris is with the U.S. Army, and today he was coming in to tell us a little bit about recruiting, as far as like the educational perks and so on and so forth. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Joe, I wanted to start off with like... well, you know, since we're out of college, I wanted to start off with like the most important thing to college students, which is going to be those scholarships and the financial aid perks. So I'm just curious as to what types of scholarships and financial aid do you guys offer?
That's a really good question. And it's actually a question that we get a lot when we're dealing with applicants or people who are interested in the Army. So it kind of really depends on which route you want to take.
Okay.
With the Army, we offer two different options, the active duty and the Army Reserves. The Army Reserves is going to be a part-time deal, so you're only going to do it 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, which means it's more really aimed at college students and individuals who want to go to college. So
right.
You get to be a full-time college student in going to class Monday through Friday, and then, like I said, that 1 week in a month, that 2 weeks a year is when you're going to be putting on a uniform, and you get to be Army for that time period. To answer your question about scholarships, whether you choose active duty or the reserves, the payment is still the same. You're going to get your 100% of your tuition paid for by the Army. So
wow.
I know here at KSU, like tuition's pretty expensive. You're looking, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I know it's up there. So you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be covered by the Army.
Fully covered completely.
Fully covered, 100% tuition.
Yeah.
As well as that, you're going to get a stipend. So you're going to get money for books. What usually happens is you buy your books, and then the Army will write you a check to cover it, and then that allows you to go back and sell your books or do whatever you need to do with it. On top of that, with the reserves, they have kind of their own add-ons to it as well. So you can classify for a couple of different other things, such as what we call a GI Bill kicker, which is, extra money up to an extra $350 a month that you can use. And as well as with the reserves, you can get student loan repayment. So, if you're into your second year or third year or however many years in and you've racked up some student loans, the Army has a program that will pay up to $50,000 of those student loans.
Wow, of loans that you've already taken out.
Yeah.
That's
another
awesome.
Really cool feature about that as well is that, say you're a high school senior and you're coming into KSU for your first year so you don't have any loans yet, you can utilize that program as almost like a credit. So the Army will say, hey, we're going to let you take up to $50,000 in student loans, and we'll cover them, no questions asked. You don't have to worry about how you're going to pay them off or anything. We got you.
Wow, that's fantastic, man. I mean, I know for me personally, I've definitely, I've applied for scholarships and had to take out some loans. And so that's been a struggle, but it's nice to hear that, a program like this, since you're going into the service, that you get so much out of it as well. But I also wanted to ask, in terms of the active service, so I assume you'd be going to school after you've, done your service. And
absolutely. So I'm an active duty soldier. I've been on active duty for the last 16 years. And so with the active duty, it is because it's a full-time commitment, Monday through Friday, you're waking up, you're working out, you're putting a uniform on, you're doing your Army job as a full-time job. So you can still go to school. That's what I did. I actually earned an associate's and a bachelor's degree through online courses in local community colleges. And the Army will still pay for it. They're going to pay 100% of your tuition as well, just like they would in reserves. And they're also going to give you that stipend for books, which is, in my opinion, I kind of like it better because I'm not a guy who can sit there and listen to somebody drone on for hours and study on my own. So I like the online portion because I like to be able to knock out a semester's worth of work in like 2 weeks and do it at my own pace. So that it works better for me because like I said, I can do it at my own pace. I can do it in the comfort of my house online, and the Army paid for it. Both of my degrees, the Army paid for. I don't, my wife, she got a bachelor's degree in like business management or medical management. So I don't even remember what it is now. And even with, student aid and financial aid and all the other stuff that we used, she still ended up taking out like $20,000 in student loans for her bachelor's degree. And like I said, I got an associate's degree, and then I was all like, hey, you know what? I want another degree. So I went back and got a bachelor's degree on top of that.
That's awesome.
And the Army paid for 100% of it. They paid my books, it paid my tuition, covered all the costs associated with my school.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like a good deal.
I mean, I don't know how you can beat that.
Right.
Like, we're just throwing money at you. Like, come on, man. You want to go to college? The Army got you.
That's awesome. No, that's like, I mean, I know because there's, a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to be able to take out loans or whatever. They can't go to school without a program like this. So it's nice to hear. Do you get a lot of people that are that you're recruiting just specifically because of the educational perks and things like that? Or
so, it really depends on the area. Here in the Kennesaw Marietta area, we're fortunate that most of the individuals that live here are upper middle class or high class. They're financially well off, so they have good plans, good ways set up to pay for their education. So we do run into some individuals that utilize the Army, and that's like their primary source to pay for their education. Not so much in this area because, like I said, because of how the economic structure is set up.
Right.
But there are areas throughout the country where there are individuals who cannot afford college any other way, and the Army steps in and says, "Hey, man, we got you."
Yeah.
That's actually how like I said, that's how I went to college, because a little bit about me: when I joined the Army 16 years ago, I barely graduated high school. Like, I had to go and bribe my English teacher to pass me and tell her she was like my best teacher ever, and I learned so much from her and all this other stuff. So like I literally had to, kiss up to her to pass high school.
Right.
So I knew that college was not in the cards for me right out of school. I didn't have the grades. My mom worked like 3 jobs to support us as a single parent. So we didn't have the money. So I went to the Army, and I've always wanted to serve. And it was just like extra bonus to me, because they're like, hey, you get to do what you've always wanted to do, live out your dream of serving. And at the same time, you get to go to college and improve yourself mentally, and set yourself up for a future with not only 1 degree, but now 2 degrees to make yourself more marketable in the future. Right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously you've made the military your full time, but do you have plans for after you're done? Or?
Yeah. Once I retire, because like I said, I've been in for 16 years.
Right. Yeah.
So I retire in 4 years, of full 20 years in the military, be 38 and some change when I retire, collecting a full pension for the rest of my life. Which is something that most people can't say. They're working to 50, 60 before they can get any kind of pension.
100%.
I'm in my mid to late 30s collecting pension, but I think I'm gonna go on like a month-long hunting, fishing, and camping trip.
Hey,
and just live in the woods and like absolutely do nothing.
That's awesome.
For just because I can. And
yeah, you earned it,
and I'll still be getting paid. Which
right.
is the best part about it. It's like you haven't been home in a month. What have you been doing? It's like, well, been sitting around a campfire, drinking whiskey and hanging out, and getting paid.
Yeah.
But after that, no, because like my wife wants to work in the medical field, so she might go try to do something with a hospital or something like that. And as for me, I'm probably just going to kind of do a part-time job, working at like Cabela's or something.
Yeah.
I don't really, that's the great thing about the Army and that stability that I've had for the last 16 years, and being able to retire with a pension and having my bills covered, is that once I get out of the Army, I have that opportunity to work a part-time job, working at Cabela's or AutoZone or whatever I want to do, working 20 hours a week. And I don't really have to worry about what am I going to do to financially provide for my family, because I'm covered. So it gives me that little bit of flex to, really just do whatever I want to do and seek the path that makes sense to me. I would love to be a game warden. That's like, I love the outdoors. I love all the stuff incorporated with it, like hunting and fishing, all that stuff. So if I could do something that, while serving in the same capacity that I'm kind of doing now, but giving back to the environment, that'd be the ultimate goal, I would think.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. That I mean, sounds like living the dream to me.
Right.
But no, that's perfect, because I also wanted to get into post service and post grad. I know that the Army rather offers like career planning services and things like that. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the Army has your future in mind from day one.
Mm-hmm.
One of the programs we offer, it's called the PAYS. It's Partnership for Youth Success. And what it basically entails is whether you choose to go active duty or go on the reserves, it's going to set you up with a job interview once your contract is complete. So like for active duty, once your initial contract is complete and you get out of the Army, you are guaranteed a job interview with at least with a company that closely matches what you joined the Army for. And then for the reserves, they offer the same thing, but it's a little bit different because instead of waiting until you were finished with your contract, as soon as you finish your job training and you come back, because with the reserves it's locally, so
Right.
you don't go to basic training, you go to your job training, and then you come right back here to the Kennesaw area to be a student or do whatever you want to do while doing your 1 week in a month with a unit that's local here in the area. So you come back to your area with the reserves, and you already have that job interview scheduled. And it's not a guaranteed job. It's not
Right.
saying the Army's like, hey, we got you this job at Microsoft. You're good, son. No, it's it's hey, you are guaranteed an interview with a job.
Right.
So I have a young lady. She just left for basic training not too long ago, and she had worked in the medical field before she joined the Army Reserve. So we got her a job, kind of similar to that, so that when she comes back from her training, she's already has her job interview lined up with a medical corporation. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but she has that job interview lined up with that corporation so that she can come in off of her training, go in there and say, hey, I would like to apply. I'm the individual from this program,
Right.
and I would like to work with your company while also serving the reserve. So right off the bat, the Army's got you. They have you covered with that PAYS, that interview setup. On top of that, there's over 150 different careers in the Army itself. And the reserves offers all of the same jobs as the active duty Army, with the exception of like 2 or 3 jobs which are combat related. So with that many different jobs and many different specialties, ranging from everything from administratives to medical field to mechanical to aviation maintenance to logistics to legal and engineering, we've got it all covered. And so with that availability of jobs and that plethora of options available to you, you are set up for a successful future after the Army. The example that I always like to use is there is a job we call the 68 Whiskey. It's a combat medic. And what it is it's a medic. It's an individual who's kind of a cross between a EMT and a nurse is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
They do triage, they administer, they deal with patients, and they get them set up to see the doctor and do all that stuff that's incorporated with the medical field. As part of their training, the very first phase of their training, once they get into that job training, is EMT certification.
Right.
So they are able to become a certified registered EMT, and the Army pays for it and mandates that they renew that certification every year and pays for it every year.
Wow.
So they stay current on it.
Yeah.
And if you're a reservist and you choose that job and you come back here to attend KSU, then you can actually go over to Cobb County Emergency Services and say, hey, here's my registration from the Army as a registered EMT. Mm-hmm. And Cobb County Services will then nationally register you with their network, and now you are a nationally registered EMT. So you can be an EMT in Cobb County in the state of Georgia, and you don't have to pay anything. That certification pays like $1,000, $2,000 to do, and the Army paid you to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Another example is with the computer field. Computer jobs are booming. IT is booming. Security, all those different jobs that encompass the computer world. Those are big money. It's where all the money is right now, right?
100%.
And so with those certifications that you need, like Security Plus, Microsoft Plus, and all those other ones that I don't know because there's like 100 of them, and I'm not a computer guy. Yeah. I drive big trucks, and
Yeah.
computer's not my forte. But we have all those jobs in the Army, and in order to do those jobs in the Army, just like you would have to do it in the regular world, you have to have those certifications.
Right.
So the Army is going to give you those certifications in training as part of your job training.
Right.
Because you have to have them to do your job in the Army. So now that you've already gotten the certifications, that could cost thousands of dollars to achieve on your own, that the Army's paid for, you can take that and carry it over into the regular market to utilize and get a job as well. And then some of the other jobs involve security clearances, especially some of those computer jobs.
Right.
So on average, a regular secret security clearance costs the company $50,000 to acquire.
Right.
And that's something that you're going to get while you're in the Army, depending on what job you have, at no cost. So, when you're going to apply for jobs outside of the Army and carry on your future, these are the things that employers are going to be looking at. They'll be like, hey, what certifications does it have? Okay, he has all these certifications that the Army gave them. You know, what kind of background do they have? Okay, they've done this exact job in the military for, you know, X many years.
Right, yeah.
And, oh, if you're going to work for one of these top-end corporations, you know, like Microsoft, the NSA, CIA, FBI, those individuals that require security clearances, that's another thing they're going to look at. Do we have to spend $50,000, $100,000 on this individual to issue them a security clearance? No, we don't, because they got one in the Army and they kept it valid. So now we've just saved our corporation hundreds of thousands of dollars by not having to pay for these certificates.
Yeah. And I mean, that's another reason to go after that person, because now, hey, we don't have to pay for that. That's
exactly.
nice, right? Yeah.
And, you know, that's what it all boils down to, is the money.
Yeah, 100%. Always. I mean,
Yeah.
money makes the world go around.
Exactly.
But no, that's fantastic to hear that you're getting on the job training like while you're in the service. That's, I mean, you know, where else can you get that, you know?
Exactly. Normally you have to pay for that kind of stuff. And the Army says, we're not only going to train you to do these jobs and set you up for the success, but we're going to pay you while you're doing it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Like, I'm getting paid to learn how to do something that's going to help me out to make even more money, you know, when I got, like, for example, we have a job in the Army. It's a UAV operator. It's exactly what it sounds like. You fly drones.
I play Call of Duty, you know, so I got that.
It's just like Call of Duty. You know, you got a little joystick. You sit in front of a computer and you're flying your drone. And it requires a security clearance.
Right.
And you know, so you get to do this for so many years, doing this job, getting that experience. And then, you know, my brother-in-law was military intelligence, and so he was telling me about it when I was in Afghanistan. And he's like, hey, you know, these drone operators, they get out of the Army, they go work for like the CIA, the NSA, these guys, and they're making, you know, $200,000-$300,000 a year. So,
gosh, man,
that's like the ultimate success story.
Yeah, must be nice. Must be nice. But no, that's, I mean, like I said, that's fantastic because, I mean, as you said, where else can you get on the job training while getting paid, while they're paying for all these certifications? I mean, it sounds like a pretty good deal. It's a lot of perks, and but also I wanted to get into specifically a few more of those kind of perks and things like that. For example, what does your healthcare look like when you're in the military and that kind of thing?
So healthcare is, you know, again, it's based off of which component you choose, whether the active duty or the reserves.
Sure.
The reserves is going to be, well, I think how I want to word this.
No,
I always say it weird. So with the reserves, you get healthcare like you would in active duty. It's just you have to pay for it a little bit.
Right.
So I don't know how much you pay for health insurance. I'm not going to ask you, but you know, I'm not going to ask your listeners how much they pay for health insurance.
Right.
But, you know, think in the back of your mind, how much are you paying for health insurance right now? It's probably, you know, upwards of, I would say at least a couple $100s a month.
Sure.
At the very minimum. So in the Army Reserve, you're going to get that healthcare coverage, and you're only going to pay $47.82 for a single individual. So if you're a single person, no kids, no family, you know, that's what you're going to pay.
Right.
And then for a family, you're going to pay $217.51. So you're already starting off with the health insurance as a single person, you are going to be paying a fraction of what you would pay normally.
Right.
And then the same translates to a family as well. And then that includes dental as well. So the dental coverage is only like an extra $20 a month, whether you choose single or family.
Right.
So all in, you know, you're looking at less than $80 a month for medical coverage, dental coverage, and it covers, you know, everything like a typical insurance company would. There's basically almost no copays. They're very, very small. I would say 99% of them are less than $100 of what you would end up paying. You're very rarely paying for the like prescriptions. You know, it's like small stuff you're paying. Like I think I pay, I don't know, like $5-10 for certain prescriptions because of the plan that I'm on right now, not being on an active duty base.
Right.
But on top of that, you know, if you have to go to the emergency room, if you have to get surgery done or CAT scan or MRI or any of those things, you know, that cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, the Army's got you covered. Yeah. And you're either going to pay nothing at all, or you're going to pay a very low copay of less than, you know, I wouldn't even say $100. It's very small amounts. Yeah. You can actually go onto the VA website, it's va.gov, and you can look up Army TRICARE and see what the exact breakdown of the copays are by plans that they have set up, whether you're a single person or a family. And that's how it's set up for the reserves. With the active duty, like I said, it's a little bit different because you're on a military base. So everything is free. So your medical care, your dental care, it's all 100% free. Wow. And the best way to describe an Army base is if you were to take the town of Marietta
Mhm.
and then you put a fence around it with guards.
Yeah.
That's an Army base.
Yeah,
We have
wow.
all the same amenities. We have bowling alleys. We have restaurants. We have grocery stores. We have gas stations. We have libraries, movie theaters,
Yeah.
gyms. You name it, we have it all. Medical clinics, dental clinics. We have all this stuff on an Army base. They're completely self-reliant and self-sustained. So you can go to a medical clinic or a dental clinic on the military base, and that's why you're not paying anything for it, because you're getting that work done in service.
Right. Wow. I mean, that's again like it's incredible, like the perks that you get, and healthcare especially, because I know it's astronomical sometimes the amount of money people have to pay for.
It is, and I was bored one day, and I googled it because I have 2 kids,
Mhm.
and I just googled it just for this, to make me a better recruiter.
Yeah.
To see how much on average it costs to have a child here in like the Kansas area.
Sure.
And on average, you're looking at, for one child, you're looking at anywhere from $20,000 to $56,000 for one childbirth.
Yeah.
And that's not including if anything goes wrong, if you need any other medical services. It's just like normal labor and delivery.
Yeah.
And in the Army, like I said, I have 2 kids, and we paid absolutely nothing for both child. I think we paid $20 to get a birth certificate for my kids. I think. I don't remember. It was a few years ago, but
Yeah.
that sounds about right. So you're looking, and I know most of the college students are like, "Hey, I'm not looking to make start a family or whatever," but
Yeah.
I got you. But that's just kind of an example.
Eventually, yeah.
Like one of the most common things in the world is childbirth, and how much that costs as associated to what you're going to pay in the military. Same thing with like if you go to you fall off your bike, or you are drunk downtown and you stumble and break your arm, you're looking at easily $100,000 in hospital bills with
100%.
all the x-rays and all the stuff that encompasses with it. If you're out on the town while you're in the Army and you get drunk and fall down, I'm not saying I may or may not have done that in my past, but it happens.
It happens.
And that same injury happens. You're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills. You're going and you're getting evaluated and you're getting treated, and it's all free.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, what else can you ask for?
Right.
But also another thing that I think, I don't know if necessarily when going in the Army people think about, but in general, when going into any career field, another important aspect, obviously, is going to be vacation time. So can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
Absolutely. Everybody loves vacation time. I love vacation time. All right. I've been in the Army 16 years, like I've said a couple times. I love the Army. I'll be sad when I retire, but I still love my vacation time. So with the Army, whether you with the reserves, you're not really going to get vacation time because, again, it's part-time. It's only 1 week in a month.
Of course.
So you're just not in it enough to accumulate it to make it worth it.
Yeah.
There are a few exceptions to that. It's really too lengthy and complicated to get into detail here, but there are some exceptions to that. But for the vast majority of the reservists, they will not accrue any kind of vacation time. On active duty, because it's a full-time job, you are going to accrue vacation time, and we call it leave. And what it is you get 2.5 days of paid vacation every single month, and that comes up to 30 days of paid vacation a year. On top of that, you also get paid sick days, and you get all federal holidays off, and you're going to get at least a 3-day or a 4-day weekend or multiple every single month.
Wow.
On the active duty. And the cool thing about the Army leave is that you don't have to sit there and be like, oh, I want to take vacation 2 years from now and plan it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can take it whenever you want. The prevailing idea in the military and the Army is that if you want to take leave, do you have enough days to cover it? You do? Great. When do you want to take it?
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So as long as you say you want to take 14 days of vacation and you have 14 days or more, you just submit the request in, just like you would any other job, saying, hey, I want to go on vacation from this day to this day. And then it gets either approved or denied depending on, the circumstances. 99% of the time it gets approved, and you get to go on your paid vacation and do whatever you want to do, just like you would in any other normal job. What's cool about the Army is that there are 2 times a year that the Army basically forces you to take vacation. I mean, like, you have to have a really good reason to not take vacation for them to be like, okay, you're good, you don't take leave this. And that's during the the Christmas holidays, so the month of December, and then typically they do it in the summer months when the kids are out of school, so that way families can take like family vacations together.
Very nice.
So usually on like June, anywhere between June and August is kind of those are when they do the big pushes saying like, hey, we're blocking off from this day to this day of this month, and like no matter what's going on, if you put in for those vacation days, you're going to get approved as long as you have the days to cover.
So that's your employers encouraging you to go take a vacation.
Exactly. Very few employers out there you're going to find are going to be like, hey, you need to take vacation. It's Christmas holidays coming up. You should go. Take a week off of work and go visit your family for Christmas. And it's like it's very rare. But in the Army, we're like, hey, you're taking vacation. You're like, well, I don't want to. You're like. In fact, I did that. I did that this year. I only took like a couple of days for Christmas, and my boss was like, "So take some vacation." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I'm gonna take Christmas Day and like 1 or 2 other days off." And he goes, "No, take more." I'm like, I don't want to. He's like, "No, you're gonna take more." And I'm like, "No, I'm good, man." Like, we already know we're not gonna be working very much. We're gonna be doing half-day schedules, so we're gonna be very chill around the office. Like, I'm good. I'm only gonna take like a couple days off. He's all like, you sure? Like, you kept pushing it, and I'm all like, and that's just kind of the mentality when it comes to vacation time. It's like with those specific periods, like, hey, go take vacation. Like, go do it now. But otherwise, it's if you're getting burned out or you just need a break, you're just like, hey, I need to, I'm gonna drop some days. I'm gonna take some vacation time, and they got you. Yeah. Going back to what I was talking about, the sick days as well. So here in the regular world, you are working with somebody and you want to take a day off because you're sick, you got the cold or whatever. You got to call in and be like, hey, I'm sick, and they're like, okay, maybe they give you a hard time and maybe you get the day off, maybe you don't. And if you do, you're not getting paid for it. Or, you have to go to the hospital and you get a doctor's note, so like an extended period, like a week or two off. In the military, it's a little bit different. So you go to the medics, to our medical facility, and you're like, hey, I'm sick, this is what's going on. You get evaluated, and then they give you little slips, basically like a doctor's note. And they can basically tell you to stay home for anywhere from a day up to a week, or depending on the severity of it. And so you get those same sick days that you're going to get in the regular job, but you're still getting paid, which is the real nice thing. Yeah. There's nothing worse than being home sick with the flu than being home sick with the flu and not getting paid for it.
It's really sucks. But it's always nice to have like those vacation days. And you said 30 days a year?
Yep, 30 days a year.
That's incredible. To have the opportunity, especially like when they're encouraging you to take that time, go see your family, go do this, take a rest, because you're not going to hear that in a lot of places. But on that family note, I also wanted to ask about the family services and support groups. Could you tell me something about that?
Sure. So whether you choose active duty reserves, a lot of these organizations are still going to be there across both components. The vast majority of the support organizations are going to be aimed at active duty because of the simple fact that it is a full-time job, as opposed to the reserve side. But like I said, they are still available across the board. And there are just so many different organizations and so many different things that are set up to help families and make their transition into the military and their time in the Army, a lot more pleasant. Some of them we have a group. It's called the Family Readiness Group, or the FRG for short. And what it is it's basically all of the spouses of service members, and they kind of make their own little group, and they go and organize events and hold meetings, and they are really that support system for the spouses. The single soldiers are invited to attend as well, but it is generally aimed for the spouses and the families, so that way, back 10 years ago or so when the war was really kicking off and we were deploying every year, and everything was going hot and heavy, the families needed a support system of their own, someone to have a shoulder to cry on, to reach out and talk to, if like there was financial troubles or just like they're stressed out or whatever the case may be, they needed that support system as well. And that's where the FRG stepped in, because they were like, hey, we got you, we understand this is a very stressful period, and you need some help, and it's a support group. And as well as that, they organize some other cool stuff like events to get out there and have the families get together and do like picnics and things along that nature. So that's kind of the FRG's deal. We have an organization set up aimed specifically at the single soldiers. We call it the BOSS, or Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is an organization that gets all the single soldiers together, and they get them out there and does stuff to, that's fun for them. They do like video game tournaments, or they'll go like whitewater rafting, or go on camping trips, or like trips to the city or whatever. and they do all those different kind of events. They'll have these events that they'll do over like a weekend, so like a 3 or 4 day or even a week long trip, and they'll do them during like normal work days and stuff too. So they're like, hey, there's this boss event, we're gonna go. When I was stationed in New York, they'd be like, hey, we're gonna do this boss event, we're gonna go to New York City for a week. And we're all like, okay, cool, and then, the single soldier's like, hey, is this something I have to take leave for or whatever,
Right.
take my own vacation time up. And the boss is like, nah, like you just put your name on this list. We clear it with your boss, your supervisor. And, as long as it's good, you get the time off of work. You don't have to worry about it. You're still getting paid. You get to have fun. And you get to go explore and do some stuff that wouldn't get to do. Then there's a whole bunch of other different organizations that have their own purposes, like the Military One Source. It's aimed at military families to help them out with financial stuff, loans and planning for the future, to buy houses, buy cars, or any of emergencies. We have the Army Emergency Relief Fund, the AER fund. It's designed specifically for those emergency situations. I had a soldier in Hawaii. Her father was terminally ill. She could not afford a plane ticket to come back home because tickets to Hawaii are expensive.
Yeah.
For one person, you're looking at about $1,000 to fly from Hawaii to Alabama.
Right.
And, so she didn't have the money to cover a plane ticket such short notice to fly home and visit her terminally ill father. And so we took her to the AER and we're like, hey, here's her emergency leave. It's been approved. Can you help her out? Can you get, and they have a couple different ways they can do loans. It's a no interest loan where they buy your plane ticket and then you can pay them back all at once or over 12 months or however you want. They have grants as well. So they can be like, hey, we're just going to buy your plane ticket. Don't worry about it. And they have a couple other little setups to help out those soldiers in those events that they need that extra little help, and that covers all kinds of different things, not just plane tickets, but like if a soldier's house catches on fire and they lose all their stuff, they can use the AER to buy some of their stuff back, or make their life a little less sucky. And then the units themselves, they usually have funds kind of set aside for those instances. Like my wife's grandmother, she passed away while we were in Hawaii. And she was very close to her grandmother because her grandmother raised her.
Right.
And so I was fully prepared to, cough up $4,000 to fly us home. And my unit, we told them what's going on. And my boss was like, hey, don't worry about it. Go to this one place. Fill out this form. And I was like, okay. So I went, and my unit actually paid for the plane tickets for me and my wife to fly home short notice.
Wow.
To handle that emergency situation so that she could be there before her grandmother passed.
That's amazing.
So there are organizations that are out there within the Army itself that are geared to helping themselves. And then there are organizations as well on the outside that are geared to help out veterans as well. I'm sure everybody here is familiar with the organizations like the VA, the Wounded Warrior Fund. And then there's a bunch of other different ones that are out there. So, I mean, there's just so many out there. It would take me days to list them all. But
Yeah.
There is a very strong support system, and there's a very strong sense of community and helping each other out. Because when you join the Army, you're not just signing up for a job.
Yeah.
You are or signing a contract for so many years. You're really joining an organization. You're joining a family.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people love the Army, why they stay in it, because they don't really understand that until they see it firsthand.
Right.
That there's really nothing else out there like it in the world. You go, and even in fraternities and sororities, it's the closest thing that I can think of that is comparable, and it still doesn't hold a candle to what the Army or the military in general holds as that organizational ties with that family's connection.
Especially not fiscally, because I know you're coughing up a lot of money for a fraternity sorority.
Right?
Yeah. No, but no, it's really nice to hear that the Army's not only there to support those that sign up, but also their families, their children, their spouses, because I think that's an important aspect that you don't always necessarily think about. But one more thing that I definitely wanted to touch on was the special pay or cash allowances for covering like costs of living and stuff like that, because I know those are also an additional kind of thing that you guys offer.
Yeah. So with the special allowances and stuff like that, it's going to be based upon a couple different things. So for example, like myself, I get paid an allowance for housing and an allowance for food. Which is really nice because my allowance for housing is actually more than my mortgage. So completely covers it.
Yeah.
So as a single soldier and the active duty, you're not going to get that housing allowance because you're going to be based in what we call a barracks. So if you, I'm sure you've seen those little apartments that are outside of KSU over right next to the unemployment office across from the stadium.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. I know some stuff. I know where things are. So though, like that's like your typical apartment. I don't know what the rent is on those because I haven't actually stopped and talked to anybody about it. But the typical rent for an apartment in the Kennesaw region, it's looking about $1,000 to $3,000 depending on what you're looking at, right? And that's for your typical 1-bedroom apartment. So in the Army, as an active duty soldier, as a single soldier, you're going to live in what we call barracks, and they're set up like apartments. So you're going to go and it's kind of hard to do over the radio. I usually have like a little drawing that I have that I drew out blueprint style with my Michelangelo skills. For those who don't know who Michelangelo is, Google it, not the Ninja Turtle. Oh. That's right. So you're going to live in the barracks, and it's set up with a hallway that is your common area. And that's going to have your kitchen and your bathroom in it. And it's a full-sized apartment-sized kitchen, so it's going to have a full-size refrigerator. It's going to have a stove, and a full-size oven. It's going to have a sink with lots of storage space and counter space, everything that you need to prepare a meal for yourself. And then you're going to have a bathroom that's, I don't know, probably about the size of what you would expect for a half bath. Maybe a little bit bigger because you're going to have a shower and a toilet in there. And unlike most places that are just a shower, it's going to be a shower tub combination. So if you are like me and after a long day you want to take a nice relaxing bath or whatever, then you have that ability to do so. And then it's broken into the rooms, and you do have a roommate, but the rooms are separated. So your roommate has his own room and you have your own room. And they're pretty good size. They're about 30 feet by 40 feet, roughly, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah. And like I said, it has doors on it that lock. So when you go to work, you can close your door. You don't have to worry about your roommate coming in and messing with your stuff. Nice. And then it has kind of what I think is a selling feature is the closet. It's a full walk-in closet. Like we're talking like a 10-foot tall by like 4-foot wide, maybe 6-foot wide by like 20-foot long walk-in closet. Like you'd be looking at paying probably like $2,000 a month for an apartment with that kind of walk-in closet.
That's really nice.
And this is going to be what's in the Army barracks. And the best thing about it is you're not paying this $1,000, $3,000 a month. You're paying absolutely zero. You live there rent-free.
Yeah, wow.
And you're not paying any utilities. So you're not paying water, you're not paying gas, you're not paying electric, you're not paying any of that. You're just and the only thing you have to pay for is, like cable internet if you choose. Sure. And if anybody out there has ever had the pleasure of setting up internet or cable and waiting, 2 hours to 6 hours, because our representative will be with you anytime from between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Like, that's the whole day.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to do that. It's because all of these buildings are pre-wired. Oh. So you just call Time Warner Cable or whoever, and you're like, hey, I'm in building 1232, room 213A. And they're like, okay, typey. They pull up on the system. Oh, yes, you are a cable subscriber or you're an internet subscriber. We see your stuff. All right, cool. And you're like, all right, thinking, hey, how long, what day do I have to take off? How long does it take for them to turn my stuff on? And it's like, 1 second. Typey, flip a switch. Okay. Your internet, your cable's on. Like you don't have to wait for somebody to come out there and set it up. It's all controlled, remotely. So you're just like, what? All right. So like I said, you're only paying those amenities that you want. You're not having to pay for, the stuff that you would normally have to pay for, such as your rent and your utilities. All that's covered. On top of that, food expenses. I was here when I first started recruiting. I came over to the Commons and I was like, hey, how much is the lunch? And they're like $16 or something.
Yeah, something stupid.
Yeah, some ridiculous number. And I'm all like, you're college, right? This is not the Hilton with the 4-star cafeteria.
They're crazy over there.
And with the Army, we have cafeterias, call them dining facilities. And the great thing about that is we don't charge you $16 a meal for that. It's free. And it's a little bit better. I'm not saying it's the Hilton 4-star food. You're not going to be getting like filet mignon and, crab legs for every meal. Right. They do make some really good food, but more importantly, it's free. Yeah. Free food to me. I don't care what.
Can't complain. Yeah.
You can just give me spam on a plate and throw some crackers in it. It's like, hey, it's free. I'm like, all right, this is going to be the best spam I've ever had. But yeah, it's free. So you don't have to worry about. So you're already not paying rent. You're not paying utilities. Now you're not paying for food. So now what are you paying for? Like what bills do you have to go to? So now your bills are, like cable internet, a car note, maybe some, your insurance, maybe, well, it's 2019, so everybody has a cell phone. So I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
you're paying for your cell phone bill,
Right.
You're paying maybe a couple $100 worth in actual bills.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the best thing about the military is because, yes, our pay is not as great as a similar job. So like, I'm trying to think of a good job. So like a normal, computer assistant or IT specialist,
Sure.
making $60K, $70K a year.
Mm-hmm.
Starting out in the Army, we have that same job. They do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to make $60K a year starting out? No, they're not.
Right.
They're going to be making closer to like 30,000, give or take.
Sure.
But that individual who's making the 60,000 in the civilian world, they're paying a couple $1,000s in rent.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying a couple $100 every 2 weeks for food. They're paying a couple $100 a month for utilities. They're paying they're paying for all these different things that add up. So now, if you take a $60,000 annual salary, you're looking at, I don't know, maybe $3,000 a month. And about 75 to 80% of that paycheck is gone. Is going to your bills that you have to pay.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, this is great. I make all this money, but then you get your paycheck and all the bills come out and everything. You're like, hey, like, how do I only have $200 in my name?
I was about to say, man, I got $20 left.
Exactly. That's gotta last me 2 weeks till I get paid. Like, come on, man. And in the Army, you're not going to be making that kind of money. So you're looking 30,000. So you're making, just under $2,000 a month on a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not paying rent. You're not paying utilities. You're not paying for all this stuff that's coming out of your paycheck. So the only thing that's really coming out are your taxes and, like the stuff that you have, that you can't seem, but air quotes, need to survive, like cell phones and cars and stuff like that. Yeah. Things that you really don't need that you could definitely live off without spending money on. But, even said you're spending a couple $100. So now your $2,000 a month paycheck, take out, we'll just call it even $500.
Yeah.
That's most people, average car payment's not that expensive, stuff like that. So you're looking at $500-$600. So now you still have $1,500 out of your paycheck to last you 2 weeks until your next paycheck.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you just like go out and buy Prada shoes
Blow
or
it, yeah.
Go to like the best clubs and bars every night.
Right.
You can very easily make $1,500 last for 2 weeks. So
100% and save more.
Save more, exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's incredible. It's like the just solely not looking at anything else, the fiscal monetary perks that you get in the Army from what you said. I mean, it's worth it. You know what I mean?
You're over here like, hey, what?
It's like, man,
heck with this DJ job. Like, where do I sign, man? Let me join the Army.
Man, I gotta go. No, but I mean that's incredible, and plus all the other things that we talked about, the vacation time, all the things that they do for your family. I mean, the healthcare. That's incredible. Where else are you gonna get all that? But yeah, man, did you have any kind of last remarks, things you wanted to say, or where they can contact you?
Absolutely. So, whatever you're deciding to do with your career path, whether it be to continue school and get a 4-year degree, or if you decide school's not right for you and you want to change the pace, or you've just always wanted to serve, or any of that stuff, and you want some more information, definitely reach out and look at the Army, because I hear it all the time. People are like, oh, well, the Army's like my second choice or is my backup choice. Well, why not make the Army your first choice and still accomplish all the other goals that you want to accomplish, but do it in a way that's going to benefit you, not only in the future, but in the now as well. Why accumulate $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 in student loan debts? Why put yourself through the trouble of financial burden of doing something you hate and all these other things when you could use the Army to alleviate all of that and experience something new that you would likely never be able to do? Like just for you, for example, like How many times have you ever played with explosives?
I can say that I've never played with explosives.
Okay. How many times have you gone out and gotten, I won't even say gotten paid to, but just gone to go shoot a rifle, like leisurely?
Like twice.
How many times those were you paid to do that?
Zero.
Okay, so you never gotten to play with explosives.
Yeah.
You never gotten paid to shoot a rifle. You've only got to shoot a rifle a couple times.
Yeah.
When was the last time you got to drive a vehicle that weighed over 12 tons?
Definitely never. So.
Okay. So these are the things I'm talking about. Like, these are the experiences that you can get that you're not going to get anywhere else, that you can get in the Army. And you don't have to make a career out of it. Some of the best soldiers I've ever served with, they only served 3 or 4 years or 6 years or whatever, and they use the Army to get education, to pay for degrees or certifications, or they used it as a stepping stone to move on to what they really wanted to accomplish in life. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly acceptable. like I said, I've served with some amazing soldiers that's what they did. That was their end state. So why not at least look and see what the Army can offer you? And there's a couple different ways that you can contact us. You can look us up online at goarmy.com. We have a Facebook page if you just type in Kennesaw Army Recruiting Center. Or you can look for me specifically because I know after hearing this amazing voice, you want to see the sexy guy that goes with it.
Hey.
I'm going to warn you right now that you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. I mean, my wife seems to like me. Seems to have worked out pretty well for the last 14 years.
That's all that matters.
Whatever. I do have some big old ears like Dumbo, so just prepare yourselves. And I got this this salt and pepper look going on with the gray hair. So, just prepare yourself if you want to come looking for me. But if you want to speak with me specifically, I'm also on Facebook. You just look for Staff Sargent Harris. If you just type that into Facebook, I'll pop up. Like I said, look for a guy who looks ruggedly handsome with some big ears. You can also hit me up on Instagram, ssg.harris. It's all one. Or you can, hit me up through text or phone. It's okay if I do the phone numbers?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you can hit me up through text or a phone call at 678-485-1748. And
you gotta double check.
I gotta double check. Yeah, you never know. So there's a couple different ways you can look us up, but at the very least, I mean, just go check out the goarmy.com website, and it will allow you to explore more options, kind of see all the different careers that we offer, as well as look at the videos and testimonials of soldiers that have gone through basic training already, and kind of get a feel of what it is. As well as there's a new app. I don't remember what it's called. I literally just saw it a few minutes before I walked in. I think it's called In Our Shoes or In Our Boots. If you look on the Apple store and I think on the Android store, they should have it on there. Or if you come find my Facebook page, you'll see that I shared it on my Facebook news story. And you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to download on there. But it's a pretty cool app that just started that allows you to do exactly what it sounds like. You can watch videos and do like a VR thing of some soldiers and what they go through on a day-to-day basis and kind of see for yourself what it's like to be in the Army without being in the Army.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Please, please, please take this opportunity. Reach out to Staff Sergeant Harris. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of great things to offer, and so does the Army. Sergeant Harris, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me out here. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course, man. And as always, guys, have a fantastic week. Go out there and attack it. And please, 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 another time, let's give it up for Staff Sergeant Harris. Yay!
Yay me!
All right. We'll see you next time, guys.